Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Once again, we're back. That's right, the Master Channel Podcast number 9. We're back online. I am DJ Widebody.
And I'm CX the producer.
And this is the Master Channel where we talk about the ins and outs of the hip-hop culture, this thing of ours, both technically and creatively, and whatever else applies. Tonight, we got a special guest, ladies and gentlemen, that's right, from the DMV. You know what I mean? This dude has been making waves for the last couple of years, man. Been following this dude every move, basically like a chessboard. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to our brother, Blacmav.
What's up?
What's up, Blacmav? What's happening, bro?
What's up with you? Ain't too much.
What's going on, man?
In the words of you, ashy like a mug.
Yeah, man. Gotta keep it that way, man.
Word up.
Yeah.
Wow.
For the culture.
No doubt.
Always.
Well, nice of you to make it, man. We finally got you on here, brother. So, this is a Master Channel, man. We just shoot the shit, man. Have a nice conversation, man. Ask you a few questions, man. And we'll go from there.
Okay.
And, it's what we do, man. So, go ahead and get going, my G. First question that I like to ask, man, is, where did it all start, man? When did you, get that bug and say, hey, man, this is what I want to do. I want to start creating that great music, man. Where did it all start, bro? What age were you and everything? Give us the whole bagada.
When I wanted to start creating music. Creating, that happened later.
Okay.
But I would say my fondness for music came about when I was maybe about 5 or 6.
Man.
Just being around with the folks in the house cleaning up, and they would, put some music on, turn on the radio or whatever, and you helping cleaning up and realizing, you know the lyrics to some songs, or, you get to harmonizing or whatever, just different parts you would hear in the music or whatever. So that was about 5 or 6 for that. But as far as actually creating, I say I was about 19.
Okay.
So that was 1997.
Okay.
Yeah, 97. Yep.
That's what's up.
So let me ask you, what was the first piece of gear you ever brought?
It's funny you say brought. First piece of gear I ever brought was a Roland XP60 workstation. I winded up buying it off of this guy because I was in a group at the time. I had moved up to New York and was gigging up there in like 2000. But the first piece of gear I ever owned was a Sonic S2Q. And it's a story about that. But
That's a heavy keyboard, man.
Yeah, pretty heavy keyboard. So,
yeah, that's a heavy keyboard.
Goddamn you all.
Yeah, indeed. But that joint had crazy sounds on it, and it just, like that was the piece for a while. That was the piece that I used for a while, and then graduated to the XP60 because it had the floppy disk where you could record and make beats and stuff like that. So that was the first official piece of gear outside of like a Casio doing, pause tapes. I think it was like a Casio keyboard I had. It had the high-speed dubbing and winded up rigging the setup. So I had the car cassette tape adapter, and I would have that plugged into the headphone jack with a blank tape on the other side, and I just kept overdubbing and made different songs like that at first. So that was about 97.
So you come from you was actually in a band. You want to speak about that?
I was in a band named Homegrown. They were out of Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to VA. And this wound up being my junior year. So it was one of those things where financial aid, wasn't giving up no more money, and I wasn't really trying to take out no more student loans. So I was at a crossroads, and I just wound up telling everybody, like, that March when they came around for financial aid, and you sit around and you talk to whoever, I never went to meet up with them because I was like, man, I'm not I'm not paying out no more money. So people was like, man, he faking, what he gonna do or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I was like, I'm gonna wind up doing something with music. Wasn't quite sure what. And I got a call from this guy that was in Richmond, and I was maybe 20 miles away in Petersburg at the time. And he told me that he was starting to, trying to start up a go-go band. And I found it odd at first. I was like, go-go band in Richmond, but I was like, hey, I'm trying to do something, so let me see what's up. So long story short, we basically go, I see what's up with the go-go band. That didn't kick off, but he had a vocalist. And she was like, she was looking for original stuff. So it was me and the drummer together, and he had another guy that he knew that played drums, but he had a guitar at the time, and he was like, I could just tune it down to play it like a bass. He was like, all right, cool. And we winded up coming up with something like Real Impromptu. It was a song called Ways of Life, and that was a part of our first demo we winded up doing. And basically, was busking on the streets in Richmond, selling a joint because we did a CD. And on the CD, it was funny because it looked like a 45 at that time. We made it look like a record or whatever. And we basically was in a hawk and nose on the corner, and winded up doing a show in New York. Going up there with somebody else to play behind them, and did a show in New York. And they was like, yeah, we can see what's up with that. And the rest was kind of history. And through us selling the CD on the streets and stuff, a couple of DJs or whatever in Richmond at the time wound up getting a hold of it. And I come back down from New York, and they playing the joint on the radio.
Wow.
So of course I go in the yard, and everybody was like, yo, he wasn't playing. And I was just like, on some look at God type vibe, but I didn't know how it was going to pan out. It was just like, I know I wanted to do something different. So,
It's funny you say that, because I remember growing up as well when I used to DJ, and I was DJing, but I was kind of PAing too, because in the DMV growing up, everybody didn't really want to be rappers, because it wasn't they was like, oh, that rap shit, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wanted to be in a go-go band, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Everybody wanted to be in it or start some type of band up, that's why I spoke upon it, because you spoke upon it as well, talking about being in the go-go band. Yeah,
and it was weird that they got at me, because I was like thinking like, what you want me to do? He was like, oh, well, you play keys? And I was like, yeah. So he was like, you can play keys, because he already played set, and then we was going to plan on swapping out, and I could get on, percussion, stuff like that, and make a full thing of it. But, we winded up working that into our set when we did stuff once the band got formed. But that was just a crazy dynamic at that time, I think, for me, because it wasn't like I had other people around me saying like, hey, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. So I figured it out as I went along, really.
Hey, let me ask y'all DMV cats, man. What is the main centerpiece? What instrument is the centerpiece of go-go music? What do you?
I just said it. That's percussion. Yeah, that's percussion all day.
Congos.
All right.
Drums, congos, timbales, anything percussive.
Right.
That's the backbone. Yeah, that's the backbone.
True.
So.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that was the main aspiration of a lot of people in the area growing up, you know what I'm saying, in the 80s and stuff like that. Everybody wanted, because you had all these groups out there. I mean, you had the main ones that mainstream know about, the Trouble Funks, the EUs, and everything.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat essence, you know what I'm saying? But you also
and Jump, can't forget Jump.
Yeah, I was ready to say Jump. And
JY,
yeah. But you also had the lesser of the bands too. You had the Classes, the Hot Cold Sweats, the Prophecies.
That's true. Yeah.
The AMFMs, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
The Pet Words. You had all that.
That was out there. Hey.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, Pleasure too. That was all girl.
All girl joint.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got Belladonna now, but yeah, it was Pleasure.
It was Pleasure.
In the beginning. Yeah.
That's what's up.
And then you had Northeast Grooves too, and Backyard.
Yeah.
Backyard, and that's Slim Charles for the fans out there. Genghis, we call him Genghis.
Yeah.
Y'all call him Slim Charles.
Wow. Damn.
So, Mav, let me ask you. So, what was your musical influences when you were growing up?
Chuck for real. And then I pretty much like it was kind of weird because it was really what my parents were listening to. My mother preferred like I guess more of like the juke joint people like your Marvin Ceases and Roy C. and O.B. Wright and different stuff like that. So I came up listening to that. Don't ask me why, but that's what it was. And then Pops was on like James Brown, Michael Jackson, Fatback, OJ, stuff like that. So it was kind of a mix, and then some gospel thrown in there too. So I drew inspiration from all of those folks at some point in time, depending on what I listened to. It was one story. Y'all remember when the Walkmans came out, right?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Okay. So I winded up. I always was either pulling stuff apart or putting stuff back together back in the day. And when those Walkmans came out, a lot of the higher end joints was defective. So I figured out how to get the case off the back and figured out, the tape player stopped working because of the little, rubber band that would spin that main wheel that would do all of the work. It would pop. So I winded up finding out that they had a particular type of rubber band at school that was kind of universal for no matter what Walkman, and I started fixing those joints. So depending on who it was, maybe I might get a couple of dollars from the person, or they would just give me the Walkman. Excuse me. They would just give me the Walkman, and I'd be like, all right, well, I would wind up getting tapes from my folks and be listening to stuff. So this one particular tape that stuck with me was a Fats Domino joint. And they had the high-speed dubbing or whatever. So I dubbed me a couple of tapes, and I would just have this joint. I think I was in maybe like 4th or 5th grade. So imagine a 9-year-old where you confiscate their Walkman, and then you call their parent because they listening to Fats Domino. And it's like, well, why he know about Fats Domino? And it's like, we had, WOL and the Moon Man and all of that. So that's how I found out about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah, people, they was looking at my age. Yeah, they looking at my age. The Moon Man was a DJ that was on the radio around here in the DMV back during that time.
He had the video show on 32.
Yeah.
32 on Howard Jones. That was Howard Jones.
Yeah, so that's, you wouldn't find somebody my age normally, listening to that type of stuff. But I still do that now. Like, I got Sirius in the car just to listen to Channel 49. They got, the throwback, the retro station on there. I can't remember the name right now, but I listen to that, before I listen to anything else. And I hate to say it, but I listen to that before I listen to like Shade 45 or whatever, because a lot of the stuff that's on Shade came from that joint, Soul Town. That's what it's called, Soul Town. So yeah,
it's Soul Town on XM. I had that when I had my XM in my car.
Yep.
What about it?
Tell us a little bit about the Fear Itself crew, man. How did that all come to fruition?
Oh man, he got questions. You didn't put me on the spot, but here we go. All right, so this was my 10th grade year in high school, which was really like my first year, because I wasn't a red shirt freshman when I went in. I left from junior high and went to high school in the 10th grade. So when I was in 10th grade, it was me and one of my partners from junior high. We went to the same high school, and we wound up meeting this cat named Mr. Cliff. Had just moved here from Cali. So it was one of those things where, he walked in the lunchroom and he had on, I guess, whatever people wore in Cali. And y'all know me, I stay on joke time, so when I saw him, I started joning. And he was right back with it, like, oh, you joning, blah, 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 blah. And, so it was like, all right, dude, cool. And then we found out as, the year went on, or the semester went on, all three of us was in the music heavy, and it wasn't just go-go. Like, they was into, Wu-Tang and Killer Priest and Redman and all of the different stuff like that we listened to that maybe a lot of our peers didn't. Because high school that we went to, everybody was pretty much like real heavy go-go heads, and a couple of people, like really like maybe for the people I knew, about 8 or 10 of us was heavy on like hip hop, like New York hip hop and stuff like that. So we just winded up, you know, like dealing with the music, and one of the guys actually had a karaoke machine at his house, and we would just rap over instrumentals and stuff like that, and was like, well, why don't we call this group Fear Itself or whatever, our little crew or whatever, and we would just, you know, hang out. We wasn't snatching nobody's chains or nothing. It was just all based off music and joking and good times. And as time went by, you know, we all get older and everybody kind of go off and do their own thing. We always made sure we kept in touch. And I started doing the music from the performing side, and then Mr. Cliff actually, he's, you know, an accomplished rapper. So he started rapping and doing different shows and battle rapping and stuff like that. But we would just make sure that we would get up and kind of keep that whole thing going. And winded up meeting Heavenly Tier, is the other guy that was originally in the group. Winded up meeting his cousin, Northeast Beast. He introduced us to him or whatever. And same type of, you know, circumstance. Winded up meeting him out somewhere, Joan on him instantly. He was right back with the jokes. We was like, all right, he cool. He ain't, you know, ain't really got a problem dealing with jokes or whatever. And he was, you know, writing from then, like he was real nice with the pen. And he always, you know, just used to write and stuff like that. And we turned around and looked, and was like, all right, well, cool. Let's just start doing songs here and there. And everybody kind of had their take on, you know, what they wanted to do in the music, and we really ain't hold nobody back from it. So, you know, that's where the group came from. The album came from somewhere else, though. But the group itself, like, that's how the group was formed.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. I know we've talked a few times about, you know, substance and music and stuff, and, you know, I know, you know, not only do you produce too, you also rap from time to time. I think more you've been producing a lot more than you've been rapping, but all in all, you know, it's all about substance in the music or whatever. What is your thoughts or opinion on the evolution of hip hop mainstream music, and where it is and where it came from and where it is now?
Well, coming up, I guess you could say, when my ears really started paying attention to what was going on musically, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of the stuff that maybe went on in the early to mid 80s get me, just because I was so young and probably didn't have access to it. But for stuff like, I say from like 87 on, like, I was a fan, whether it was catching stuff on TV or, you know, somebody else, you know, we used to trade tapes and stuff like that. You know, I was up on your Public Enemies and just different folks like that, at X-Clan or whatever. Hey, of course, like dealing with quote unquote the ratchet at the time, like your Two Shorts and your Two Live Crews or whatever. I had a balance back then. So that was one thing that I never forgot. It was some stuff, you know, you couldn't play around your folks, but then there was other stuff. It's like, all right, it might have a little bit of cussing in it, right, they're saying something, so your folks will be like, all right, that can kind of get a pass, but don't be around here in front of me reciting the words. That's what I know, and that's what I was raised off of. So to bring it to where we are now, like, I get where we are now and I'm older or whatever, but I just feel like a lot of folks tend to make the argument that there's no balance in music today. That's not really the problem to me.
Okay.
The main problem that I find with it is there is a balance. There are a lot of artists out here that tend to have either socially charged music, or it just could be like everyday kick around music. I went to the store, I went and bought some shoes, and they can find a clever way to put it together, and the beats knocking or whatever, you know, so forth. But when it comes down to quote unquote playing what's really, you know, nothing but just passing the time music, that's what's at the forefront, where before it was a balance for us. We got all of that across all spectrums, whether it was through radio, television, or whatever. Because, I mean, DOS Effects was DOS Effects, no disrespect, but then Brand Nubian was Brand Nubian. Yeah. And I grew up in a time where you could appreciate both of those. Right. Now, when it comes down to it, and you look at where music is now, I mean, think about who we got, quote unquote leading the helm. You got J. Cole, you got Kendrick, you know, certain folks like that. Like those are touted as like the greatest. But I mean, I know of a lot of people now that don't necessarily get that nod where they do talk about relevant stuff in their music, but they don't really have the platform, you know, or algorithm's sake or whatever it is, where they can't even be heard because you're not at the top of somebody's timeline. And that's where social media is good in that instance, but in some ways it's kind of detrimental to being able to access the people like you should be able to, obviously. So, you know.
That's what's up.
Other people might feel differently about it, but that's my take.
I mean,
I think, you know, there's a lot of conscious music out, but folks ain't getting that nod. And if it is, it's for a short time, but something that's ratchet, it's like everybody gonna share that and, you know, make sure, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you hear what so-and-so said? But if it's something on, you know, the 180 of that, it's like, oh, yeah, you know, that beats me. So he said, you know, do this for Tamir Rice, and then that's it. You don't hear nothing else from him.
I kind of feel you on that. I know it's a time, you know, DOS effects, the food snickings, shit like that. I could appreciate that as well as, say, the Brand Nubian, Public Enemy, and I just feel I felt a certain way at a certain time. You know, as time goes by, I start seeing the big picture a little bit more, and it seems like everything just spread out. You know, we just had the radio back then. You know, Sirius Satellite came around maybe mid to late 90s, well, late 90s, early 2000s, and it just seems like everything spread out. So, yeah, there is a balance and such, but a lot of stuff you got to look for. And yeah, there's a lot of talent still out there. You just got to go search for it. And if you're a real music connoisseur, you're going to go out there and you're going to find the music. My only beef is that, you know, as far as acquiring new fans to what kind of, you know, music that we like to do, as far as, you know, we have our set fans there. You don't see a lot of young cats. Maybe they got an older brother or uncle or something that put them on game. But I'm talking about, you know, the only kid that was brought up in as far as acquiring new fans, and I kind of feel like that possibly could die out as far as the years go by and shit like that. But you know,
I feel like I don't mean to cut you off,
bro.
While about it, I feel like we didn't all the way adapt to this new platform of how music is being presented. And just like Mav said, you know, you had all, you know, we had all these different groups out there at the same time, but they had those labels pushing them out there. I mean, because you had indie artists back then, Too Shorts and all them before then, who was selling out the trunk, but they weren't nationally known at first, you know, until the record labels got behind them and pushed them out there. And now, since the record labels have just like said, okay, we're only dealing with this trap stuff, so now nobody didn't adapt to, okay, now we're our own label, so now we got the vehicles now to push our own stuff out there. It's just that I feel like people don't know how to push it out there like a record label would push it out there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. That's true. Because I would say that I suffer from that. Like I would love to get my music in front of more folks, and I winded up maybe I'd say about 3 months ago just to see what the hype is. Like, put your money where your mouth is, and
right,
you know, do the sponsored joints for a week and see what would happen. And I winded up getting some traction, but it really wasn't much more than I did what I was doing on my own. So it really goes back to the algorithms and figuring out what your audience is instead of just blindly putting stuff out. I think nothing beats, you know, if you just leave it to trying to get online and say, hey, I have music, and you're not performing anywhere, you're not dealing with anyone else that's performing anywhere, and they're not talking about you, you're not going to really get a nod like that versus saying, you know, going out and doing the show and going viral with that and making sure that you're actually dealing with other artists, because when you go to shows, you generally don't find a lot of folks there now that are just the fans of music. Usually they happen to do something in the arts themselves, whether it's video or they're a rapper themselves or they make beats. And a lot of times I know folks tend to kind of frown upon that and be like, I'm tired of going to these shows and it's people there that do beats too, but that's the nucleus. If you build with them, you kind of cross-pollinate platforms, and you work. It's like one hand washes the other. So if they supporting you, you support them. They come out with something, you buy it, and you'll turn around and look, and it's a slower process as far as growing, but it's healthier because those fans that you acquire are more so going to stick with you instead of just seeing you pop up in their timeline, because that always happens. But if somebody can actually connect to you and feel like, hey, I know that dude, he might have said something funny, or he, I heard him playing beats in his car one day and he wasn't an asshole when I met him. All of that stuff goes a long way.
Sure does.
So
I
stick with the basics.
The other thing is this: some of these so-called cult artists that got those big cult followings, they're now the new marketers and record labels. And what I mean is, say like Stolen Drums. I was watching an interview on him. He doing a nice amount of streams on Spotify. He doing like at least 200,000. And he's doing this. He's doing that. He connected with Chill Hop on YouTube, who streamed 24 hours a day, all chill hop, lo-fi music. And I sit back and did the math of, and the whole thing is networking and connecting with somebody of that caliber to push, to use their audience to push you through.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're not, it's hard for indie artists now to break through on their own. You know what I'm saying? You have to be connected to someone somehow to gain that audience to be. It's just like on Spotify or Apple Music. When you looking for artists and you find that artist you want, and then you look at the bottom and say artists like that person you're looking for. When they give you those suggestions, that's kind of like that. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you discover new people.
Okay.
So that's kind of like your new. They're like the new labels. The one that has the bigger following, that's doing the same. It's like hashtagging. The one that has the bigger following, like you have to connect with those type of people to get that audience that likes his music. If you do the similar type of music, they should like your music as well.
Okay.
So let me ask this real quick. So sound basically, Spotify is the new SoundCloud. What SoundCloud was supposed to be. We're now looking at Spotify, as far
essentially, I would take it that way.
Well, I see.
And I don't even have a Spotify.
I don't have one.
Because I don't how did I think I can't remember what interview I saw. I'm just coming to mind, but I'm not sure. But basically, he winded up saying, folks go out and they spend a whole bunch of money instead of using the resources that they have. What sense does that make where the ends should justify the means? Like, you don't go and arbitrarily get, whether it's a manager or whatever, if they can't do something to take you to the next level, or that's not necessary yet. So I'm trying to do as much as I can to exhaust my own stores, if you will, whether that's using, quote unquote, the free platform or whatever, instead of going and you paying for a DistroKid to go through Apple Music or whatever, but you're still not generating the traffic. So, I tend to see more of my money by going through the route that I'm taking, but hopefully as things build further and I can actually have a reason to say, hey, well, I haven't heard of you, and more people tell me, you're not on Apple, and then I'll go and I'll probably do Apple Music or whatever. But I don't really see why people would do that ahead, before it's time, because now you just got another debt that you're responsible for.
Right.
Makes sense.
I
you know what the crazy thing is, I may be wrong, but I tend to look at what a lot of people do and how much capital they're investing, and if it seems like a sensible move, I'll try it. But for the most part, even if it's working a little bit for me, I don't want to do something that's flash in the pan. Because if I just catch for, I'm hot for one summer, but then you ain't really checking for me because I was all over your timeline, all over this, and now you tired of seeing me, I'd just rather you see me every once in a while and be like, oh, I wonder what he's doing there. Cool. Then you just do the numbers and add the numbers up. Get more people to do that. You have that constant stream.
I think our audience is in the United States, but more of our audience is outside the United States because you look at Kev, you look at Jay, Jay Sinai and all them. Them dudes is torn, man. They're torn all over the world. You know what I'm saying? And you talking about dudes that have no major releases, not on no major labels, and yet, I look at Kev. Kev just did a show in Stockholm, Croatia, South Africa, and Rio, and then last show was in Bristol and London.
Damn.
Now he down there, so I think that's more, and plus we need those analytics, man, to break down. That's what those distro kids and all that do. They'll break your analyticals down to see where your audience is.
I was about to say that.
It's like they selling data. That's all they're doing is selling you data. You know what I'm saying? Data that you really need and you don't have the tools to do on your own.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's like SoundCloud for.
Yeah, I know my Bandcamp tends to run that way. And Instagram, I have the business account, so I don't necessarily know where people are, but I can kind of see where my views are coming from, whether it's from the hashtags or whatever, and all of that tends to make a difference. How you can kind of revamp what it is that you're doing, and a lot of this stuff is free. If you just look beyond what's given right there, a lot of this stuff is free for you if you actually use the tools that are there. So.
All right, man. I got some more questions for you, man.
Okay.
What's your current tool of choice as far as making music?
Well, I have 3. One is Reason 9.5. Second is MPC Studio. Using the software with 2.2, and the last one happens to be a microphone, just a microphone in whatever environment I'm in.
Wow.
So,
yeah. What? So those are the 3 weapons of your choice of weapons. When? Let me see. How can I? Oh, I know what I want to ask you. All right. Now, I'm going to get this out the way real quick.
Uh-oh.
You got $10,000.
Uh-oh.
Car.
Y'all do ask this, don't you?
We don't know if we want you to take that up Chuck's, but we take that up with guitar.
Like, hook me up, Chuck. Oh,
you might come out there with a goddamn preamp for $10,000, but
right?
You might want to take that over guitar. So you got $10,000 on your credit card, in-store credit card. What you get?
All right, I got 10 grand.
Yep.
Okay. I will wind up. Now this is thinking about what what I want to do in the future. So it probably I got to spend the whole 10,000.
Yep. Every last dime.
Whew. Y'all gonna know the prices of the stuff, so I'm probably gonna need.
Yeah,
to
we
get
got you. I'll be calculating in the background. I'll be calculating.
I would definitely get me. I would get me a couple of computers, but honestly, the computers wouldn't need to cost that much. They would just need to be quad cores, probably i7s, and maybe a terabyte of space each. And I would have,
Guitars can only sell max.
Oh, look. So look, I can't do that. So how much a Mac go for?
They got the let me see, they got a Mac Mini set up there. All in one package for like $1,000. That's with a mic interface and a Mac Mini. I don't know if they still. I think they still sell iMacs.
How much space would be on their Mac Mini?
Probably terrible. I think they got 500 gig.
That's cool. That'll work. Okay, so we to say 2,000 already, because I would I already have the main piece that I use now for creating, and then I would get another one. Well, one of those computers would be for mastering and mixing.
Yeah.
And then I would need another one to devote to video and editing video, kind of putting it all together. So I don't know necessarily what I would need for that.
They don't sell MacBook Pros or anything like that.
So I wouldn't be able to do that.
Nah.
You get your two.
Well,
Get your two Mac Mini.
I could still get those two, and then just use what I have now for the video and editing with OBS and Vegas on it. So I will be straight with those two.
Right, you got eight
So I got 8,000 left.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right,
about
I would
8,000 or 7,500.
Okay, cool. 7,500. Okay, so I would get me a Roland V Series drum kit where I could get it where it was kind of portable, so it wouldn't be a full-on drum kit, more of like a jungle kit, but make it electronic. I would have that with maybe a floor tom, like a classic jazz setup. So a floor tom, high tom, snare, hi-hat, crash, a ride, and then maybe a splash for that. So I know
700 right now.
for that model that I'm talking about will probably run me about
13?
18. No, about 1,800
Oh, 18.
with sounds. Yeah, and I would have that, get it to the point where I could be portable with it, because I would want everything to be portable. The next thing I would need is portable PA, some QSCs. How much would those run?
Probably about
Loudspeakers.
Probably about $1,000 a pay.
You got 5,500
and
left
they
over.
powered. They powered.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have that, and then I would get me a wireless microphone setup with maybe it could handle like 4 mics at one time.
Hold on, man. What you doing? What you building? The
I'm about to
band?
explain why.
He got 5,500. He got 5,500 left over before. This is after the V series. So, where you going after that? You going to get some PA?
Yeah, the PA. Yeah, that's gonna be. You said for both of those, they should be $1,000 for the loudspeakers. I thought those QSCs run more than that.
It might be a little more than that. I mean, probably about 1,300 power.
1,300.
Per?
So we down to 40. We down to 42.
Let's see here. 4,200. Yep.
Okay. I need a wireless microphone setup, 4 microphones. And then hardware for that, so like mic stands and stuff like that.
Damn.
I don't know how much the wireless mic setup. Maybe like another 1,000.
Yeah, probably like some natty joints or something like that.
You get
You know what I'm saying?
8 Vocal Pro wireless mics for $499.99 without the stands.
Okay, so the stands and stuff, that hardware, they don't sell trucks. So
How many?
having a problem. I'm having a problem spending this money. I mean, everything gonna need warranties. So
Right.
to a degree, the use that it's gonna get. I mean, we could tack on another, say $600 for the warranties. You think for everything?
Yeah.
that's 1,000. So
it's hard to spend 10,000.
You got 3,100
what
left.
I would want to do.
Got 3,100.
Say that again.
Left. Got 3,100.
I got 3,100 left.
Yep.
I would probably for my own personal reasons get a push 2 with I guess Ableton Suite.
About 1,100.
1,100. I don't know. I don't know about that last 1,100. I'd probably I got some Mackie 8s monitors, but I probably will wind up updating that and going with something that has a subwoofer as well, and
HSH.
some Bear Dynamic 770 headphones. And that should be about it.
Yeah, that do it. And hey man, let's give Mav a round of applause. He's the first one that's ever itemized his shit and actually spent every dime, and then still
he has.
didn't have enough for Diet Dr. Pepper.
That's what's up.
Let me hear the explanation for this bang you just put together.
Well, starting with the computers, I already have one computer. So basically, again, to have one setup devoted for creating, another one devoted for mixing and mastering, and the other one devoted to video. The drum set and the wireless mic setup and the PA, I would have that so I could actually start going on the streets again. Kind of like it's this guy in the DMV named Malik the Drummer, and he basically performs on the street here in DC. I would want to do pop-up joints like that, but have it where, you know, I could basically play beats. Wouldn't necessarily be a donation or anything like that, like just set it up so I will be more accessible instead of just saying follow me online but people can't see you anywhere, or they got to come out on a specific night. And maybe just pick one day during the week where I mean, you know, you might catch me in the city wherever. I'll tell you online, hey, I'm gonna be out here for an hour or two. And I rock, I got everything hooked up to a generator. I might have beats, play drum set along with it or whatever, and just kind of, you know, maybe do something on the spot, and that'll be what I do. So, you know.
Smart.
Yeah.
Mav got
it's
a
promotion.
Word up.
So.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, let's talk about what you got in your signal chain on your master channel, which we named the show. What do you usually use on your signal chain when you're when you're making beats and when you're exporting? What's your favorite plugin?
I tend to use stock plugins for the most part, but with Reason supporting VSTs now, I would run I have Waves plugins that I can run, and the Air plugins that I could run. So I usually run the compressor from the SSL board on Reason, and then usually I'll run a limiter, the Air limiter, and then from there I tend to use the stock EQs. The only thing that I've run that may be different would be a delay from Stereo. No, it's the Stereo Savage plugin for stereo effect.
Oh yeah.
I tend to use that sometimes, but I tend to keep stuff real normal. It's normally just whatever the chops are and the bass. I might put a pulverizer on that, but for the most part, I rarely compress that. And I just have a little bit of light compression on the master channel, and the rest is just EQing. That's how all my projects have been done. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's lackluster, but you know,
Gets the job done, man. So like,
don't do a lot.
for you people out
You
there,
don't need a lot.
you people out there that like to go plug in crazy, it's not needed.
I did at one
way.
point, meaning like I brought them, but I realized I wasn't using them because you would go through and you know check sounds against what you're doing, and I know pretty much what my sound is. I mainly find everything I need in that sample or whatever patch I pull up if I want to play keys or you know, my bass sound is usually just a stock bass sound that's been in Reason 3 since I can remember.
So,
regular old bass guitar.
So your goal
and
is
there's just certain ways that I shape the sound, and that's what I use.
So your goal is
Tends
to
to work.
get everything their own space in the frequency. And by any
Yeah,
means
the way
necessary.
that I develop the beat. I don't really usually like the way that my ear works when I listen to something. I won't automatically add something to the beat that will where the frequencies will fight. So, you know, if it's a bass, I won't go and I'll put a vocal sample in it that's like heavy on the low end. It'll usually be something else to kind of be way away from it. It tends to give it that space.
Hey, for those people just you know just meeting you on here, and for the ones that do know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your newest projects and what you got coming up in the future?
Well, this year alone, I released a review for 2017. Then there was Modal Synesthesia, which was some of my submissions from Computer Music Academy. Then there was the Nat Black EP with Nathaniel Starr. I did that back in February. And then there was the Grateful for 40 EP, where I turned 40. So that's been 4 projects on the year. But what's coming up next, I actually plan on, I want to do a full-length LP. And I already had the title. I had the title for a while. It's called Forest from the Trees. And I've just been stockpiling tracks, but it's just the fact of sitting down and writing to whatever I'm going to write to and see who I would want to feature on it and kind of go from there, because it's a lot to talk about. You just want to, you know, approach it in the right way so it don't get lost in the sauce. So, yeah.
Now, Mav, tell the audience about your drives when you do your Instagram with your drive videos.
Say that again.
I say tell the audience about your drive videos where you're driving.
Oh, you're talking about the cartoons, the top of the morning.
Yeah, top of the morning, John.
Okay, so that's part of the way that I'm on Instagram. I tend to instead of just doing hashtags for the sake of doing them, I try to have something that's more so, you know, likened to who I am or what I do. So I came up with something I just started calling this, where I would do something while I'm at work. Maybe I, you know, came up with the idea for a track or something like that, and I started calling it Top of the Morning, because I would actually make these tracks overnight. So the first thing in the morning when you wake up, you go to my Instagram page, it's just like, oh, okay, what did he do this particular night? And it might be something where it's just a loop or whatever, and I just, you know, it's my car ride on the way home where I'm playing beats that I did. So that's where that came from. So yeah, cartoons, not cartoons like TOONS, but TUNES. So
and I can tell the audience this. I've been in the car riding with Blacmav, and a lot of the Jones he be playing when I've been in the car with him, them Joneses, they serious. You know what I'm saying? You guys, you know, because he's driving, you only get what you're hearing coming out the speakers. It's not like he has the, you know, have it hooked into the camera. But if he did, believe me, believe me, your head would be shaking because I've been in the car with him. Like I said, heard these joints. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. I've created with this brother. This brother is serious. You know, and matter of fact,
Thank you.
give all your give all your handles up, man.
Well, we keep it real simple. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, Bandcamp, Instagram. It's BLACMAV, all one word, Blacmav, BLACMAV. That's it. You can reach me through any of those sites. So I need to do, YouTube as well. My bad. I'm on YouTube at the same thing. But I'm going to wind up having to do a .com and just have everything go through that one portal. So, you know, that's probably my next thing where, quote unquote, I'll spend money for, and I can account for it.
I can help you with that as well.
No doubt. I'll definitely be getting with you on that, sir.
Yeah, I can help you with that. You got anything else, Wildboy?
No, man, I'll do it. That'll do it for me. Black man, I want to thank you, man, for coming on at such a short notice, my G.
I made it. Yes. Woo. Thank you.
Like you said, man, he's a real one on here. You know what I mean? Check Blacmav out. He's all over the place. Blacmav, real simple. BLACMAV.
Yep.
All one word. So this will do it for the Master Channel Podcast number 9. Blacmav. I am DJ Widebody.
And I'm CX, the producer.
This will do it. Join us next time on the Master Channel. For everyone else, I'd like to say, peace.
Peace.
Peace.